Good evening and welcome to another edition of Labor Live at 5. I'm your co-host, Rick Levy, and we're joined tonight by Secretary Treasurer Montserrat Garibay.
Feliz Año Nuevo, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Yeah, so this is our first Labor Live at 5 of the new year. We're going to be doing these every week. There's so much going on virtually, so much going on in person, that we're trying to make sure we can get the word out about what's happening here in Austin and hear from you about what's going on in your communities as well. So thank you all for joining us. So it's been quite a year so far, Montserrat. I mean, I felt like, everybody was saying, well, 2021, I mean, it's got to be better than 2020, but so far it's not going so great. So how's it looking to you?
Well, last week, Wednesday was very hard to watch, and it just really the world is telling us that we have so much work to do, right? Yes, Trump is going to be out in less than 10 days, which is great, but we know that there's just so much work ahead of us in terms of racial justice and our agenda. So it was a good reminder that even though we're going to have a new president and vice president, that gives us hope. However, we still need to organize.
Yeah, it was weird. Like that morning, we woke up to find out that the state of Georgia had elected 2 Democratic senators with the big help of the labor movement across this country, and that the Democrats were going to have a operating majority in the Senate. And just the high of like picturing all the things that we were going to be able to do in terms of meeting the needs of working people and their unions. And then you start seeing the situation unfold where it's kind of like the right wing, the fascists, the Trump supporters who have been whipped into a frenzy by people like Trump and Ted Cruz and Ken Paxton, who have been peddling this lie for their own personal gain, finally came to a head. And it did remind us that our democracy is a very fragile institution and that it takes all of us getting involved. And we have to put the pressure on to make sure that, that things like that are not tolerated in the future.
For sure. And it also reminds us that it is up to us to really change things. And like you said, those 2 new senators from Georgia gives us so much hope, right? And to me, I feel like, that can be Texas in a few years. Yeah. And also I want to give a shout out to all those that helped us in the phone banks and also wrote postcards for our sisters and brothers in Georgia. It is because of all of us that happened. And also a huge union shout out to our brothers and sisters from Unite Here that roll up their sleeves and did literature drop and really organize. And, Rick, I think that's the beauty of our labor movement, right? That yes, it was Georgia and it's really far, but we were with them in every single step, and we get to celebrate with them, and we can do that here in Texas in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. And and obviously the results here in Texas were not as positive as we would have hoped. But we didn't lose any ground like a lot of states did in this whole thing. We built a lot of infrastructure going forward. And, I don't know, are you giving up?
Hell no.
Okay, I'm not giving up. So tomorrow, your president is coming to Texas to do some kind of political event in front of the wall. First of all, my opinion of that is he needs to stay the hell out of here right now. What he needs to be doing is getting the vaccine to people. He needs to be getting money into people's hands. He needs to be doing things that are going to get this country back on its feet again, and doesn't need to be doing these stunts here in Texas. I just the whole thing. I mean, he stopped being president a long time ago, and he just needs to move on down the road. And I think his insurrection, he needs to be told, don't come to Texas. And I think they need to remove him from office, impeach him, do whatever it is, but let's let somebody get to work who's actually going to be trying to solve the problems that we're facing right now.
Yes, for sure. And, just a real quick question. Where is Abbott on all of this?
Well, there is that. So we had, Ted Cruz was one of the ringleaders, the circus masters of this whole thing. Ken Paxton obviously has been, working as hard as he can to get himself a pardon. We'll be watching that, but at what cost? And I haven't read word one from Governor Abbott. Again, he appears to be so worried about offending the folks in the right on the right wing that he's not doing the people's business. I mean, how can you, in good conscience, be an elected official in this country and not have anything to say about what happened in Washington last week? So I don't know if is he going to be there to welcome him? Is he going to say anything to condemn him? What's he going to do? So far, complete absence of leadership by the governor.
Yeah, we don't know. But one thing is for sure, I think this is the time that we need to remember that we will remember what they have done in November, right?
Yeah.
And that our voices at the ballot office can really make a difference. And right now it's the time to start registering people to vote, putting as many resources in organizing, because we have an opportunity to hold them accountable. And the way that we can do that is by, checks and balances. And by us having courageous conversations with our sisters and brothers, who we do have some brothers and sisters who voted for Trump, right? But this is the time to do those conversations. And just, I think I feel very hopeful with our racial justice task force at the Texas AFL-CIO and with the resolutions and things that we are going to be coming up with for us to really develop in the near future. So that brings me a lot of hope, because the labor movement is here to stay, and the labor movement is here to speak up, and we're gonna hold people accountable.
Yeah, and I think what you said about this isn't the kind of thing where you can show up in October of an election year and say, hey, vote for our candidate. No, we have to start organizing right now, and that's exactly what we're doing. And urge all folks to get involved in these efforts. So the first way that that's going to happen is the legislative session, which starts tomorrow. It's unclear what it's even going to be like in terms of being able to get into the Capitol. Usually during the legislative session, Labor has representatives from a lot of different unions here at the Capitol every day, from morning till night, talking to representatives, talking to senators, testifying in hearings. We don't know exactly how that's going to work this time. We do know that we're going to be engaged however we can be, to make sure our voices are heard over there. But tomorrow's the first day of the session. What are you expecting? What are you thinking?
I think it's going to be a very different legislative session for sure, but we got to be very vigilant, because we don't know if we're going to be able to testify or to even go to the Capitol. And this is the time where we really need to think about organizing outside the box. And really, it is our duty to make sure that the voices of the working people of Texas are in the forefront of the legislators, right? And that is something that we're really going to utilize social media and our platforms like Zoom to really get those stories of our members into the hands and ears of the legislators. So I'm excited about that. We're walking through how that's going to look like, but nobody's gonna, not even COVID is going to stop us from making sure that the voices of the working people of Texas are in the forefront of the movement.
Yeah. So, when COVID first started and we saw that the very first thing out of the box, we saw that people were going to be put in a very tough spot, particularly frontline workers, because, we were being told, if you don't feel good, stay home. But people didn't have sick leave. And in fact, the leaders of this state were trying to take away sick leave from hundreds of thousands of people. We had people who were working in grocery stores who were being hailed as essential employees, heroes, et cetera, but weren't getting any kind of pay to recognize that. We had an unemployment system that was crumbling under the weight of what was being put before it because of years and years of neglect. We have people getting sick because there was no workplace standards that employers had to follow, et cetera, et cetera. What we saw was, like, despite all the rhetoric about thank you to frontline workers, we saw policies that continued to fail to meet their needs. So what we see this session is to make sure that when the legislators are considering legislation, that the voices of those workers most directly affected are uppermost in their mind. We need to fix the unemployment insurance system. We need public education to be fully funded. We need them to meet their commitments to not balance the budget on the back of working people and of educators. We need to make sure that workplace safety and licensing of trades are not sacrificed on some kind of economic altar of free regulation. So we need to make sure that we expand Medicaid, as hundreds of thousands and millions of people don't have insurance that we could get with the snap of a finger by expanding Medicaid right now. So this session to me is dedicated to all the workers in this state that have been affected by COVID and their families. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on, is making sure those voices are heard. To help us do that, we've put together a survey that we would like all of our members, affiliates, and friends, frankly, to just look at. It's on our website. The link to it is in the chat or in the messages, and it's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about what you care about, what you think our priorities ought to be, and how we should move forward during this session. And we think that it'll take 5 minutes if people could fill it out, spread it around. We think it's going to be exciting for people to have a voice in shaping what we do. But also, if that's not enough, we have the coolest stickers, that you can put on your computer, put on your window, put on your car, and you see them pictured there, where anybody that fills out the survey will get one of these cool stickers. You'll be known as one of the cool kids forever when you sport one of those wherever you go. You can put it on your notebook. You can put it on your friend's back, slap them on the back and say, hey, how you doing? I mean, I'm not going to tell you how you can and can't do it. But more seriously, we really need your voice. And we need for you to tell us what you really care about as we move through this legislative session. Monse?
Yeah, and a special shout out to Savannah and Mark Maldonado for really designing this awesome swag. We're always on top of the swag, but also making sure that our message is out. So please, sisters and brothers, you want to start getting involved in the legislative session, then let's do it. Tell your friends, your co-workers to fill out this survey, to let us know what the priorities for the working people of Texas are. Do it now, do it today. Share it in social media, because you know that if it's not on Twitter, it didn't happen, right? So get to work, people.
Right. Yeah, because this session, we're going to be looking at a lot of different ways to get your voices in the Capitol. People aren't going to be able to travel as much in buses and come and have rallies, but we're going to have to figure out, how do we bring your voice into the Capitol? And that's what we intend to do. Knowing what you care about is a big piece of that. And then figuring out how to make that happen in a COVID world is going to be a big challenge that we're working hard to meet.
Yeah. And also, like, one of the things that I think is extremely important, right, with the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines, that we're going to be organizing in making sure that everyone gets this COVID-19 vaccine, because it is outrageous to know that people that are serving every single day, whether it's schools or bus drivers, don't have access to it. And, it's the way that we hold people accountable is by demanding that these vaccines are for everybody, whether it's your county or your district. You can contact your state representatives and let them know that those COVID vaccines are in dire need in our communities.
Yeah. And speaking of communities, the building block of this whole outfit is the Central Labor Councils. And, every community has a Central Labor Council that you can get involved on the local level in making sure some of this happens, not just on the local level, but into the state. So, you can go on our website if you don't know where your Central Labor Council is and who your officers are and find out. But, that's where it all starts. That's where all the key work gets done, is in the local level by the Central Labor Council. So we certainly want to honor their work and what they bring, and encourage people to get involved on that level as well. So, yeah, we'll be watching tomorrow. We also have YLCO, which is the United Labor Legislative Committee. And the United Labor Legislative Committee is any union that has an interest in what happens at the Capitol can join YLCO. We meet every day before the legislature goes into session. We talk about what's going on. We divide up tasks. We help each other out. That's where the solidarity in the legislative session happens. We gossip a little bit. We talk about the people who aren't there. All kinds of things to help build the labor movement and bring it forward. So if your union is interested in participating in YLCO, please contact Renee Lara, our legislative director, and his email is renee@texasflcio.org. And every week we'll put out the YLCO Sentinel, which will go over what happened that week, what to expect next week. And it's just another way we try to have folks spread the word about what's happening. So it's not just an Austin thing, but people who are really affected by what's happening in this Capitol have an idea what's going on. There have already been thousands of bills filed, pre-filed. And Ed Sills has read every single one of them. Ed is the hero to the people. And what he does is he goes through and he looks at what the subject matter is of the bill, if we're interested in it, and he'll put a flag on it so we can watch everything that happens with that bill. YLCO will look at the bill, decide whether we want to support it or oppose it, and that's what triggers us becoming involved in it. So it's a really important process. It's a lot of work, but I'm not scared. You scared, Monson?
Hell no.
No, not scared. No. So that'll be happening. We think Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. We think Thursday will be the debate in the House over the rules of the session in terms of how people can testify and stuff like that. We'll be watching that, and we'll have a lot more to explain about what happens like that on Monday, next Monday when we come together. And speaking of next Monday, Montse, it's we're going to pause also as a movement to talk about Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King's birthday. And we've got a lot of activities that people can plug into. It all starts with the National AFL-CIO Martin Luther King Civil and Human Rights Conference, which I've been to several of them. They're really inspiring. You get to hear the voices and see the work of so many people who are part of our movement that you never would come in contact with if it wasn't for these conferences. And as so many things are with this pandemic, usually you have to buy a plane ticket, you have to get to DC or Atlanta or wherever it is. We've had it in Texas, stay in a hotel, blah, 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 pay the registration fee. This year it's free, it's virtual, and everybody can attend. So we've put the link in the comment period, in the comment section, and really encourage people to sign up, register today, and share it with your friends, because particularly in this moment that we find our country in, I can't imagine a better place and better people to be with than folks at the Civil and Human Rights Conference.
Yep, for sure. And then on Tuesday, we're going to have the inauguration of President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, which is so very exciting.
Man, we just got to make it one more week.
That's right.
Yeah. That's amazing. So that's something to look forward to. Count the moments till we get to that. So like I said, the new year is beginning. Lots and lots of stuff going on. Lots of ways for you to get involved in your union. Lots of ways for you to help us build this movement. Lots of ways to make sure that we get our voices heard by people that need to hear them. So please take our survey,
Mhm.
register for the MLK Conference, think about getting involved in YULCO, be safe,
Yes.
and we can expect to see everybody every Monday night at 5 o'clock as we do the Labor Live at 5. Any last notes you want to raise?
No, just excited about what we have ahead, and very remember, sisters and brothers, that we have the power. We have the power of organizing.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. So on that note, thanks to everybody for joining us. Thanks to our producer, Mark Maldonado. And how you like that, producer, Mark? Anyway, and thank you all for joining us. And please stay safe, and we'll be in touch. Thank you all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.